Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today is Monday, which means it's time for an episode of Loadout, the series where you guys, the viewers, get to pick a gun and customization for me to use. The way you do this is you leave a comment down below, letting me know what kind of weapon and accessories you'd like me to run with, and I will pick one of the top rated comments for the next episode. Today's top comment comes from Federico Asensio, who says the Metal Gear Solid 5 Venom Snake Loadout. Class will be Recon. Primary weapon is the AK-5C with a suppressor to resemble the AM MRS4 of the game. And that gun is actually based off of the FNC, which was a weapon designed for Swedish armed forces to replace the FAL, although it wasn't really replacing the type of weapon as much as it was just replacing it as a primary weapon for the Swedish armed forces. And it is very similar to the AK-5C in many ways. For the secondary, we'll be running with a 1911, and I chose to put a suppressor on there so we can go with a full suppressed loadout. Then we have C4, and I'm using a decoy gadget, which is fun to run with. We'll be using a survival knife and the Spec Ops perk. And then he says, you are Venom Snake. You've been in a comatose state for 9 years and been awakened and want revenge against those who have taken all from you. You are a legend in the eyes of those who have lived on the battlefield, and that's why you have to handle this mission yourself. And in this opening clip here, I have run completely out of primary ammo and had to switch to my 1911 and still managed to get 3 final kills. And oh, iron sights on the AK-5C. They're not the worst. I mean, there's certainly worse iron sights out there in Battlefield 4, but they're not particularly easy to use, and they can make things a little bit trickier. For the most part, you got to get in close or shoot at stationary targets at further ranges. Now, one thing that I've never really been crazy about the optic system in Battlefield 4, it's still based off of the same system in Battlefield 3, and that is that there's no penalty for taking an optic instead of just running iron sights. So there's no real point in using iron sights on any weapon, whereas a lot of other games, including earlier versions of Battlefield like Bad Company 2, basically had you pick like a red dot sight over some other aspect of the game. You take a game like Call of Duty, if you take an iron sight or a red dot sight, you have to do that instead of taking some other perk or upgrade for your weapon. And I'm hoping that the next Battlefield game might remedy this situation to actually give you a reason to want to use iron sights over a red dot sight. You have to sacrifice something from your kit. Now, I remember when this game first came out and everybody was raving about the AK-5C. It was so easy to use, fast reload, low recoil, decently high rate of fire. You could engage people at close range, medium range, and even in a pinch, take somebody out at long range. It was just an all-around great carbine, and everybody was loving it and putting it on tons of different kits. A lot of people thought it was the best carbine in the game, and it's no surprise why, as the AK-5C is a weapon native to the country of Sweden, which is also where DICE is located. Perhaps playing a little bit of favoritism there, but it certainly brought this weapon into the mainstream perspective anyway, because I hadn't really heard about the AK-5C, because I think it's a weapon that really hasn't seen much service outside of Sweden itself. It's designed for cold weather climates, and it's got this huge trigger guard on it so that you can use it easily while wearing snow gloves. And although I believe it can use standard M4 style magazines or Stanag style magazines, the ones that are designed specifically for the AK-5C have these big grippy textures on the side of it, again making it easier to unload and reload this weapon with bigger gloves on. Now, does any of this information actually make a difference on how the weapon performs in Battlefield 4? No, not really. It is interesting though, and it would be cool if perhaps certain weapons had benefits in different climates. Say you're playing on a snow map, what if the AK-5C had a benefit for reloading there? That would be kind of an interesting way to add in extra ways to sort of diversify weapons and make them a little bit more realistic. Now, even though I'm running these funky iron sights, which I don't like at all, the fact that I'm running a suppressor gives me enough time to engage targets and just keep myself in a situation where nobody really knows where I am. And you can see from these clips here that I've just stayed alive for a very, very long time. Red dot sight or not having people see me on the minimap is worth so much, especially in team deathmatch style game modes. Also, this is a weapon that can be run completely naked without other attachments. It doesn't need attachments to compensate the recoil or make it more accurate. As you can see from my gameplay here, it's doing just fine only with a suppressor and no other modifications. And that's kind of a good thing about the weapon, and it certainly makes it newbie friendly if you don't have any unlocks for it. It's just such a good gun all around. Probably one of my favorite carbines still. The ACWR is probably one of my other favorite carbines, which favors close range a little bit more over the AK-5C, but if If you don't know what range you're going to be engaging somebody at, you need something that can handle both long range and close range, then the AK-5C is an absolutely great and highly versatile weapon. Now the comment did suggest that I play with this gun on Conquest Small game modes. I found a few games with Conquest Small. The action wasn't as intense, so I used a lot of the gameplay from Team Deathmatch because I thought it was more entertaining. But it's definitely a great gun for Conquest because of the suppressed characteristics of this kit. If you're running on your own, if the map's a little bit more spread out, you can sneak up, take out a few targets. Nobody will know where you are or where their teammates got killed from. And so you can do so much work with this gun on maps that are just slightly more spread out. You do have to watch out though for the iron sights at further ranges, as they get more and more difficult to use the further away you get from your target. Now the fact that we're using the recon kit but no spawn beacon doesn't make this class that effective in Conquest, and it could be more effective if we had that spawn beacon. It's just one of the most useful gadgets that you can have in Conquest. You can hide it somewhere near a flag. If the enemy team captures that flag, you just spawn back in on that spawn beacon and capture it from behind them. Honestly, I think it's almost game-breakingly good, so not using the spawn beacon definitely feels like a bit of an oversight for this kit. Surprisingly, I did get a decent amount of usage out of my suppressed 1911 sidearm because I would stay alive so long while running this loadout just because of its suppressed nature that I would run out of ammo with my primary and then switch to the 1911. Normally speaking, I would probably just pick up an enemy's kit, but for doing loadout videos, I try and avoid that and more just look for ammo crates, which are incredibly hard to find on Team Deathmatch game modes. All in all though, I would definitely recommend this kit. I had a fun time playing with it. If you really want to try hard with it though, put a red dot on there and run with a spawn beacon and you've got a top performing kit for most game modes. And that wraps it up for this episode of Loadout. Don't forget to leave your comments down below for next week's episode, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing out.